I just finished up a first look at the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2, and I asked the question, is it maybe the best running shoe still in 2026? If you want to take a look at that video, by all means, you can go check it out after this one. But I'm in the middle of my long run. I normally do 16-mile long runs, or at least I'm doing 16 weeks of them. Just finished up 4 miles in these. I don't want to run my entire long run in a plated shoe. So we're switching over to the Topo Specter 3. And I want to just give some quick insights into like what I feel differently between a race shoe and the Specter. The Specter is obviously very, very light. It's had a lot of hype around it. If you don't know, I manage a local running store, and I've been trying to get more of these since they dropped. And we just haven't been able to put an order in because Topo's out of them. If you go to their site, at least as of right now, they're totally sold out, which is really exciting. I've really enjoyed running in this. It is really fast. It's non-plated. It's just a straight aliphatic TPU throughout. And you know, it's done a phenomenal job, clearly, because people are buying it. Very, very aggressive rocker. And because I'm currently in the context of like race thoughts of like how things would fit in different races, like a 5K to a full marathon. That's like what I was thinking with this. Where does the Specter stack up in all that? I'm going to take you guys with me. Obviously on the action camera, I don't have my big setup right now with me, but we're going to switch into this and get another 12 miles and see how it does with some tired legs, a longer time on feet, and see how this kind of stacks up to the Endorphin Elite 2 and kind of the broader race shoe market on the whole. If that's interesting to you, definitely stick around. If you want to jump to the end, I'm probably going to break down a conclusion for these two, so feel free to jump there. As always, if reviews like this are helpful, you can take a look at the Ontos running hat. It's my hat. I fully custom designed everything from the brim to the really, really breathable mesh. You can see right through it, obviously. It's just a really good running hat at what I think is a pretty reasonable price given what all is out there. You can also use code JSYT10 for 10% off your order. So with that said, let's go ahead and get this on and get into our run. Okay, so we do have this runner's looped. We have a size 12, which is my standard size, and that has been working really well for me. If you saw my first run review, you know, I like having about, I don't know, 3/4 of a thumb, and that's about what I have, maybe a little less. If you are like dead between sizes, you may go up, but I probably just go true to size, to be honest with you. Getting this on foot, not a huge difference coming out of the Endorphin Elite. Like, it's a little more breathable, but the upper on the Specter 3 is really good. Wide toe box, which I really like, especially when I'm doing a run like this. Like, I've been thinking a medium long run distance with some paces in it is going to be where a Specter does a really good job, up to race pace. So like, if you don't want to go buy a carbon plated shoe because they are less stable and they put more stress on the lower leg, you don't have to. You could totally get something like a Specter here, and it's going to encourage you to run pretty fast. We have 39 millimeters of stack. We've got a 5 millimeter offset, as always with Topo. Not always, but like by and large with Topo, they do a 5 mil offset. And it's the aliphatic TPU, so it is really energetic. Again, I'm still waiting on the run repeat numbers, but I think that'll be really cool to look at. I don't think there's a whole lot other than to get back into this running and finish out 12 miles. Here we go. Now, I did have to stop my watch, and then I forgot to restart it, so I'm like 0.4 behind. I just kind of have an idea of where I'm at. So we'll go ahead and just roll this straight into the run, and we'll end at 15.6. Very different feels. Like, so dramatic, actually. The Endorphin Elite felt like there was a lot of vertical bounce, and these feel like there's a lot more rocker to it, but much less bounce. Oh, this is really like kind of freaky coming out of those and into these. I don't know if I even want to. I'll force myself to do a couple of miles. I might stop one more time and switch into the Mega Blasts, because I brought those with me too, and I thought this would just be an interesting comparison, but these feel so weird now. Huh. First mile there was 8:53. We're fine. We don't need to switch to a Mega Blast, but it did have a very different feel. Just kind of changed my mechanics and how it felt like I was running, which is good to have different shoes to do different stuff. But this is a very unique feel. The rocker is quite aggressive, which is not a bad thing. It's just like noticeably very different. Yeah, we'll keep plugging along. I'll catch where we're at as we go through miles and check in with like big thoughts and noteworthy differences. Okay, it is for sure hotter out here than like most of the days I've been running. So that means we're gonna stay on top of water and we're gonna put in carbs as well. Obviously just on a long run, that's normal, but really, really important to stay on top of fueling when it's hot, when you're doing anything that is more strenuous than normal. We don't need to add extra load onto the body. So if we're low on fuel, it has to work harder to use fat for fuel. That puts more stress on the body, not what we're trying to do. So a gel like this, or honestly, I would rather have an isotonic one so it doesn't need a bunch of extra water because it's isotonic. At any rate, we are cruising our way through the miles here with the Specter and it feels good. It was a very different feel than the Endorphin Elite was. This much more similarly runs like the Alpha Fly. Also, one taste review on the neutral SIS gel. We've got just a ton of salt from our sweat in our eyes, but neutral SIS, favorite flavor, probably favorite gel overall. I really like how it feels, how it tastes. I really like the texture and how it tastes. Feels would be a descriptor for shoes. Anyhow, good texture. It's just very similar to goo, but goo is thicker. This is like a less thick goo, slightly thicker than a carbs fuel. Some of the really liquidy gels, this would also be like a decent bit thicker than, but it goes down really well, and I like that it has 40 grams of carbs. One taste review on the neutral SIS, 10 out of 10, favorite gel. Back to the Specter and its thoughts. It feels like an Alpha Fly in that you want to be really forefoot on it. The Alpha Fly is not a shoe where you want to be landing really far back on your heel and then trying to, I'll just pull this off real quick. You don't want to be landing and then trying to have to roll up onto here to compress the pods for the Alpha Fly, or for this one to just get up on the rocker. However, it feels like there's just a ton of support. Actually, I'll do this real quick. As we get to right here, this point of the shoe feels like there's a ton of support, which I actually really like. It felt really weird when I started running, just coming out of the Endorphin Elite. But as I get back into the stride that is comfortable with this shoe, it feels really nice. Oh, last thing of note before I do actually put this away for real. This feels much more controllable today. I don't know if it's because my legs are tired, but we're cruising at like 9:30 pace. Just really comfy. It doesn't feel like it's bullying me to go quite as fast as I've felt in the past, which is a good thing. I want to be in control, and it feels like I've got a little more of that today. Well, we just finished that up, and if that was not just the hardest long run I've ever done, I think body might be a little bit tired after doing such a big block of work. This is getting close to the end of my third week of 50-mile weeks, and that's a lot for me. That's my peak week ever is 52, I think, and this is 3 weeks in a row of 50 with the 16-mile long run in there. I think that accumulated fatigue might just be adding up a little bit. And then throw on top of that a pretty dang hot day. I don't know the actual temperature. I think it's in the mid to upper 80s with pretty high humidity. And I think that's just a recipe to have a tough day out. But let's answer the question of how does the Specter pair up against something like an Endorphin Elite or other race shoes around? I gotta say, it was really weird as I started the run coming out of these, which are pretty dang bouncy, and coming into the Specter. Like, they just do two very different things. The Specter is very much a rockered based shoe, so it wants to roll, and it had just very different mechanics to the Endorphin Elite, which also does rock quite a bit, but it feels much bouncier with that rock. But my hunch was super right. Like, my hunch on this, as you could tell, or well, as you learned in the last video, was wrong. I thought I was going to love this shoe. It is not my favorite. The Specter Elite, or Specter 3, excuse me, not the Elite. The Specter 3, I expected was going to be really good in that like 10-ish mile range. And yeah, oh gosh, super good. The further I got into the run, the smoother it felt like I was running. The rocker became more natural feeling, and I do generally like rockers, so take that with a grain of salt as much as you would like. But it felt really weird when I started in the Specter, and it just got better and better and better as I was going, even though I was having a harder time. So it didn't feel like it was bullying me into faster paces, although I did have some like decent miles in the middle section there. But it was overall really good. I'm really pleased with how the shoe did overall. I would still put it in the category of baby Mega Blast that wants to go faster. I would pull for Mega Blast before the Specter 3 for a long run. Like, if I were doing 16 straight, not switching in and out of shoes or anything like that, I would for sure take the Mega Blast over these. It's just a little more cushion, a little more substance underfoot. I liked the feel of this, but I think, again, really bang on with the medium long run workouts. In my marathon block coming up, I've got some like 8 to 12 mile long runs, and a lot of them are going to have at marathon pace work, and I could see myself pulling for the Specter a lot in that use case. I think it's just going to be really dialed in on the amount of pop you're getting and amount of protection. Energy return's good. It's not going to give me any trouble with my foot, obviously having a wider base here. So overall, really impressive. I would say, again, that this stacks up more closely to an Alpha Fly and how the geometry is and how it feels. The Hoka Cielo X 2.0 is what I have, and I really, really enjoy that feel. Feels like it has the bounce of this with just a little bit smoother rocker, and honestly, it feels just a little more peppy than this, equally, maybe even a little more stable than the Endorphin Elite. I would say the Specter 3 and the Endorphin Pro 4, also a shoe that I have. I think those two are probably going to be pretty similar in who's going to like the shoe. The Specter 3 just, I think, is punching well above its price point at $170. You can get an Endorphin Pro 4 for a very good price too, though. So I think that gives you an idea of where I'm kind of placing it in terms of race shoe, long run shoe. I probably won't daily this a whole lot. I do really like the rocker, but I think for daily wear, I just like a little more heel to toe drop, takes a little stress off the calves, going for like a Vomero Plus or a Super Blast or a Mount to Coast C1. So as always, if reviews like this are helpful, you can take a look at the Ontos running hat or Ontos running brand in general, like the tanks, the shirts, socks, all of that are all on ontosrunning.com. Would super appreciate you guys checking that out, or just taking a look at the site and letting me know if there's anything that you really like or dislike about the site. If you got questions, drop them down below. If you want me to review anything else or put these guys up against anything else, you can let me know that as well. Until I see you guys in the next one, I hope you all do something good for your body. We'll see you then. Bye.